Do you consider the position is now critical then?
Well, the position certainly is critical, Mr Morgan. I'd say that we've got between 30 and 40 butcher shops in Newcastle closed down at the present time with no meat.
Is this going to continue?
Well, we certainly hope it doesn't continue. If the members can get meat from out of the area, we should get back to normal again. It's just a matter of when we can get meat and how quickly we can get meat to restock the establishments.
This business about getting meat from out of the area, isn't there a ban on it, or an alleged ban on it?
Well, there has been a ban placed on it, but in the opinion of the Meat and Allied Trades Federation, we consider the ban is illegal. We consider also that the strike in general is illegal, and on this basis we've recommend to our members that they go ahead and get meat from wherever possible to give the public service and to give them meat.
Well, now there's a meeting being called, a late meeting. Early this afternoon it was called for tomorrow morning at 9:30 with a possibility that there may be a resumption of work. Do you think what you just said might affect any feelings by the Meat Industry Employees Union about going back to work?
Well, we certainly hope not, Mr Morgan. It seems as though there's been so many meetings and we've been left up in the air. It seems as though we've just been held to ransom over this. Unfortunately, the strike has been involved members of the union that are covered under the federal award who will have to be stood down, or who have already been stood down at this stage through a strike not of their own cause that they are not directly involved in.
Well, basically, of course, the dispute rather is not between the union and you people, but between the union and the abattoirs, isn't it?
Precisely, yes.
And yet you come out in the worst of it.
Well, that's right. You see, they placed this black ban originally on meat in and out of Newcastle abattoir, and then they changed it around, apparently. I don't know, I didn't see it, but I believe they changed it around to meat into the area, and the area was defined by Taro, Swansea and West Wall's End. And that's about the situation as it stands at the moment.
visiting Newcastle today, Bobby Charlton, world champion soccer player. Bob, a very rushed visit to Newcastle. What have you been doing?
Well, I coached a group of young children, I think somewhere in the region of 10 to 11-year-olds this morning. Well, I didn't actually coach them, I refereed the match and had a little word here and there. You know, it was a very rushed job. We only had 3/4 of an hour or so. Later on this afternoon I have some of the older ones and I'll be able to have a little more time with them, you know, but it's been so that there's so many people being coming to watch these coaching sessions and to be involved in them. You know, I've been able to give barely a few minutes to each player. What I've got to do now is I speak generally, I answer the questions, well, I say things that I think that they would like to ask anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And usually play a couple of matches and generalise by using a mic, a hand mic if I can get one, just to put the public, the people that are watching or the children that are watching who aren't involved in the games, and just give them some idea what I'm talking about to the other lads.
And for those that of the younger group that haven't been able to see you, Bobby, what is your one thought to them as far as soccer goes?
Well, soccer is a game of, it's a team game, but obviously you've got to learn to walk before you can run. And any of the younger people who I've spoken to, I've told them if they can possibly get a ball and just do as much practice as they want, you know, just keep the ball up, practice hitting the ball against the wall, but just trying to better their control all the time, because one small thing that I've seen here that's lacking is just a little bit of control.
players in Sydney switch from one code to the other, just as they do in Newcastle. But one of the players that we're very interested in is John Ballasty, a player that switched from rugby union to rugby league. How are you, John?
Very well, thanks.
John, tell us about your rugby union career.
Well, it started off with when I left school to go to a teachers' college. It's all rugby union played at teachers' colleges. So I'm going to teachers' college. I started playing rugby union, and after a year in second division down here in Sydney, I played for the Eastwood Club. Then, fortunately for me, Phil Hawthorne decided to go to league and left a position open in the representative side, and so I went off from there.
Now, you played 5'8" in rugby union representative matches, was this right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and then how many games as a representative player did you play?
How many tests? Or,
yes.
9 tests, I think it was 9.
Then an approach was made to you by Eastern Suburbs?
Yes.
How did this come about?
Well, when I came home from South Africa, the Wallabies went to a tour to South Africa last year. When I came home, the Eastern Suburbs Football Committee, headed by Jim Hunt, got in touch with me and made an approach to me. And I thought about it and then went to a solicitor and talked it over with him and decided to accept the offer.
And it was a good offer?
Yes, I was quite happy with it.
John, then you've come to Eastern Suburbs Rugby League, and they've tried you in a variety of positions, haven't they?
Yes, well, as I said, I was mainly a 5'8" in union and had a few games as a centre. They've played me as a 5'8" mostly, but last week they've switched me around and moved me out into the centres and give me a look at that and see how it goes out there.
Have you played fullback at all?
I had one game as a fullback. It wasn't a very glorious sort of a game, but in union, but never in league.
And which position do you prefer?
I think 5'8" because that's where I'm used to, in close to the rucks and the action sort of, but out in the centres it's very different. It's like being in a bit of a desert to me. You know? It's a lot of wide open spaces, you know, so I find it much different.
Well, the play of a rugby union 5'8" and a play of a rugby league 5'8", does it vary a great deal?
Oh, tremendously, I think, yes.
In some aspects, can you tell us this?
Well, the main aspect is I find it in league, so far, with the limited experience, the head-on tackle that they talk about is very definite. But the main part about this head-on tackling they talk about in union, it's more covering and going across. In league, they're coming straight at you. In union, a player, when he comes at you, he's not thinking so much of beating you once he respects you. You know, like if he realises you can tackle, he's not going to try and beat you most of the time. Normally, he'll try to go in and take a tackle and not go through you, go through your tackle. It's not so much attempts to go through tackles as to go into tackles and then to move it into your forwards into a ruck or make sure your team's got the advantage from the next ruck. Whereas in league, a man's prepared to, it doesn't matter how much he respects your tackle. He wants to go through you, he wants to go over the top of you often, in close, where he can't go outside. He wants to go over the top of you, and so this makes a big difference.
Now, what about the service of the halfback to a 5'8" in league and in union? There's a difference, isn't there? I mean, a catch pole pass is different to a Kevin Genie pass.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was fortunate enough to have a couple of games with Kevin in the pre-season, and I found his service terrific, very good actually. But there is a difference in union. The number one feature of a halfback's play is his pass. If he hasn't got a good pass, he'll never go anywhere. This is his whole game's built around his pass. In league, the service of the halfback is by no means, you know, the main factor in his game. His main factor seems to be that sharp burst and score the odd try.
John, no regrets from going from union to league?
No, not at all.
My guest has been John Ballasty, former Rugby Union international, now making his name with Eastern Suburbs Rugby League team.